Stranger Things is one of the smallest LEGO themes ever, with only 7 real sets. But somehow, there are over 40 different details, Easter eggs, and references you can find. So today, I'll be showing you everything you missed in LEGO Stranger Things, starting with everything in the upside down house set, with number 1 being a missing poster for Barbara. Now, if you watched season 1, you know Barb went missing after getting dragged into the upside down by the Demogorgon at Steve's pool party. The entire internet exploded with the Justice for Barb movement because fans were pissed that she got completely forgotten by the town while everyone was out searching for Will. So the missing poster on the trees makes sense as a reference to that. But here's where LEGO got clever with it. The only way you could have gotten a Barbara minifigure was if you went to the 2019 Comic-Con in San Diego and won a raffle. She's not in any other set, which makes her stupidly rare and hard to find. So this missing poster kind of works two ways. Barb is missing in the show, and she's missing from a lot of people's LEGO collections because she's so exclusive. But another reference you probably missed is a pumpkin just sitting in the back of Hopper's truck. In season 2, episode 4, Chief Hopper drives out to this farm to investigate why all the pumpkins in the fields are rotting and dying for no reason. The farmer is freaking out because his entire crop is just dead. And this was actually one of the first big signs that the Upside Down was spreading underneath Hawkins through all the tunnels. So LEGO threw a pumpkin in Hopper's truck to reference that investigation. But here's something actually wild about that truck. When you flip the set over to show the upside down version of the house, the truck doesn't fall off. You'd think gravity would just yeet it across the room, but no. There are connection points built into the underside that lock onto the set. So when you flip it over, the truck just stays there, perfectly suspended upside down. But if you thought that was clever, the box itself is reversible too. You can literally flip the box and display it with either the normal world on top or the upside down on top. And there are logos printed on both sides to show this was 100% intentional. So LEGO didn't just design the set to flip, they designed the packaging around that concept too. But now let's talk about Will Byers for a second, because there are a ridiculous amount of details about him scattered throughout this set. First up, there's this tile piece with a drawing on it, and it's Will's personal artwork of Will the Wise. If you've watched the show, you know Will is constantly drawing, and when he plays D&D with Mike, Dustin, and Lucas, his character is a wizard named Will the Wise. So this tile is supposed to represent one of his actual drawings from the show, which is such a perfect character detail, because drawing is literally how Will processes everything he's been through, which I'll get to in a minute. Second, if you go digging around in the attic of the house, you'll actually find Will the Wise's wizard hat stored up there. When the kids play D&D, Will goes all in and dresses up in full costume as Will the Wise, complete with a wizard hat. So it makes total sense that when he's not using it, it would be tucked away in the attic. Now, about processing what he's been through. There's another tile piece that shows Will's drawing of the Mind Flayer from season 2. After Will gets possessed by the Mind Flayer and becomes a spy for it without realizing what's happening, he starts obsessively drawing it, and these drawings actually become crucial evidence for Joyce and the others to figure out what the Mind Flayer looks like and what it wants. So Will's art literally helps save the day, and LEGO made sure to include it with this tile. Will also has a drawing with the word Zombie Boy on it, which has a pretty dark backstory. After Will comes back from the Upside Down, kids at Hawkins Middle School start calling him Zombie Boy because the government faked his death with a fake body that they pulled out of the quarry. So from everyone else's perspective, Will literally died and then came back to life. The nickname is pretty mean, but it's stuck, and Will drew about it, so LEGO included it as a tile piece. While he was missing though, there were posters for him all over town. So just like Barb, Will's poster is also here in this set, but there's something really funny about it. Just like Barb, LEGO turned him into a minifigure for this poster, but they also put his height as 1.5 inches instead of his actual height in the show. This is about the height of a LEGO minifigure, and I guess since that's what's on the poster, it makes sense. Anyways, one of the best features of this entire set is that the Christmas lights on the wall actually light up. In season 1, Joyce paints the entire alphabet on her living room wall in black paint, and then she strings up Christmas lights above each letter. This way, Will can communicate with her from the upside down by making lights flicker to spell out words. And the LEGO set has a light brick that you can press with a grill piece attached on the front of it. And this grill piece makes it look like light is coming from the bulbs on the wall. Obviously, it isn't very accurate, and it isn't spelling anything out, but this was a really cool and simple way for LEGO to recreate it. While we're in the living room, if you look around, you can even find the cardboard box that the Christmas lights came in. It's just sitting there as a background piece, but it shows that LEGO went out of their way to include every single element from that scene. Another detail that ties directly into that communication setup are the newspapers covering the windows. At the very beginning of season 1, the Byers house has normal windows like any other house, but once Joyce figures out that Will can communicate with her through the lights, she puts newspapers on every window. That way, no matter what time of day it is, she'll see the light from the Christmas lights. There's also a compass piece that comes with Dustin's minifigure, and it's referencing a really specific moment from season 1. Mike and Lucas are asking Elle where they can find the gate to the Upside Down so they can go get Will back. And while that's happening, Dustin is literally spinning around with a compass in his hand. His compass and all of their other ones are pointing north, except it isn't actually true north. Based on where the sun rises and sets, the way the compasses are pointing can't be true north. Instead, Dustin thinks that the needles are pointing to the gate they're looking for, and he ends up being right. This is a super important moment in season 1, and without Dustin and his compass, they never would have found the gate. So LEGO absolutely had to give him one. Another really important part of Stranger Things is D&D, and there's a tile piece that looks like a D&D rulebook, which couldn't be more perfect for the show. The kids use the game as a base to understand what's happening in Hawkins. When they first encounter the Demogorgon, they literally name it after a D&D monster because that's the only way they can process what they're seeing. The game becomes their language for discussing the Upside Down and everything supernatural, so having a D&D rulebook tile in the set just makes sense. There's also this shark poster hanging on the wall inside the house, and if you know your 80s movie posters, you know it's a direct parody of the iconic Jaws poster. Obviously, LEGO doesn't own the rights to Jaws, so they had to change the word to just say shark instead. The Duffer Brothers built the entire show on 80s nostalgia and references, so it fits perfectly. Speaking of references, here's one you'd only catch if you actually read through the instruction booklets. LEGO includes a little note explaining how the swing on the front porch of the Byers house is a specific reference to The Evil Dead from 1981. The Evil Dead is this cult classic horror movie directed by Sam Raimi, and there's an iconic scene involving a porch swing. So LEGO acknowledged that the Duffer Brothers were nodding to that movie, and they put it in the instructions as a fun fact. Clearly, the brothers took a lot of inspiration from horror movies. I mean, there are weapons all over the place in Stranger Things, so of course they're here in the LEGO set too. There's a bear trap sitting in the hallway, and there's an axe sitting right next to the box for the Christmas lights. Both of these are from the climax of season 1, when Nancy, Jonathan, and Steve lure the Demogorgon to the Byers house so they can kill it. They set up the bear trap to slow it down, and then they attack it with the axe and a baseball bat covered in nails before lighting it on fire. So LEGO included a few of these weapons as little details that fans of the scene would recognize. But now let's talk about the minifigures for a second, specifically 11. Clearly this isn't her regular outfit, and if you remember, this is actually what she wore as a disguise when she escaped from the lab in season 1. She didn't have any hair when she escaped, so it would have been pretty easy for the agents to find her and take her back. So to help her hide and also fit in, Mike, Lucas, and Dustin gave her a makeover. That way the agents would have a harder time finding her, and she will get bullied for being bald. Alright, now we're moving on to the Creel House set, and let me just say, this set is absolutely loaded with details. First off, the entire thing transforms, and it's one of the coolest play features in any LEGO set ever made. In an interview with the designers, they said they wanted to capture as many different versions of the Creel House as possible in this set. There are a ton of different versions, so their solution was this transformation play feature, and they did an incredible job making it. But that's not all. When you actually do transform it, a bunch of hidden details show themselves. First, the grandfather clock suddenly appears in the middle of the house. Now, if you watch season 4, you know this clock is a huge deal. Vecna's victims all see this creepy grandfather clock before they die. The clock itself is from the original Creel House back when Henry lived there as a kid, and Vecna uses it as a psychological weapon to torment people. I can hear the sound just talking about it, so let's move on. There are also stickers that show Vecna's mindscape in different parts of the house. As we learned in seasons 4 and 5, Vecna can trap people's minds inside a fake reality made out of memories. What you see depends on who's in there with you, but because it's Vecna's mindscape, his memories are always there. One of the mindscape stickers specifically shows a graveyard, and this is the graveyard where Max almost died in season 4. Vecna trapped her there and forced her to relive her guilt and trauma over Billy's death. She was standing at Billy's grave in this nightmare version of the cemetery, and Vecna was using that to break her down psychologically before killing her. It's one of the most intense and emotional scenes from season 4, so it'd be kind of crazy if LEGO didn't put it in the set. There's also this really clever play feature where you can change Henry into Vecna. When you transform the house, you can place the Mr. What's-It minifigure on one side of the build and the Vecna minifigure on the other side. Then, when you transform the house, you can see Henry turn into Vecna in real time. Obviously, he isn't actually transforming, but LEGO did a really good job of representing the change in this set. But now, let's go through the set room by room, because there are details hiding everywhere. In Henry's bedroom, you can find a jar jar on the ground, and this is actually the one that he used to catch spiders. In the show, young Henry was completely obsessed with black widows. He'd catch them and keep them in jars because he thought they were just like him and completely misunderstood. They brought balance to the world by killing things inferior to them, and since Henry's crazy, he wanted to keep them for himself. There's also a book about spiders in his room, and it has a black widow on the cover. His obsession didn't stop with collecting them. He studied them and drew them constantly in his notebooks. They're a big part of his character, so it's good that LEGO added them to the set. Another big part of his character is obviously the Mind Flare, and the drawing that Henry made of it gets its own separate tile piece in his room. Anyways, moving on to Holly's room, there's a fire poker just sitting there, and this is actually the exact fire poker she uses in season 5. She wants to fight her way out of Vecna's mindscape after meeting Max, so she uses it as a weapon, and it definitely came in handy. You can also find a hat in Holly's room, and this belonged to Mr. Whatsit, which was the fake name Henry used when he was disguising himself. Mr. Whatsit was how he presented himself to people while hiding his true identity, so the hat represents that disguise. But if you go up to the attic of the Creel house, there's a tile piece showing a drawing of Max and Lucas together. This is from season 4, when Lucas drew a picture of Max and brought it to her while she was hiding in the attic. Max was isolating herself and dealing with her trauma over Billy's death, and Lucas was trying to reach her and show her that people cared about her. It's a moment everyone loved, so LEGO wanted to recreate it. There's also this tile piece that references the Stranger Things Broadway show. Yes, Stranger Things has an actual stage play that ran on Broadway, and LEGO included what looks like promo for it as a tile piece. It's such a deep cut reference that 90% of the people building this set wouldn't even realize what it is. But for the hardcore fans who know about the Broadway show, it's a great reference. Steve Harrington's car is also included in this set, and if you look at the license plate, you'll notice that it's not just a random number, it's the set number for the Creel House. LEGO does something like this pretty much every time they make a license plate, so it's no surprise to see it here too. But one thing I haven't really covered in this set yet are the minifigures. So let's start with something that's either an amazing coincidence or hilarious planning. When you're building the set, the 11 minifigure comes in bag number 11. There's no way LEGO did this by accident. I mean, it's just too perfect. Anyways, next, Will Byers' minifigure comes with 2 different faceplates, and one of them has completely white eyes. In season 5, Will unlocks this ability to tap into the hive mind, and when he does, his eyes go totally white. It's this creepy visual that shows he's connected to Vecna and the Demogorgons, so LEGO gave him a second faceplate specifically for that power. Next, Lucas comes with a boombox, and this is actually really important to his storyline in season 5. After Max gets put in a coma by Vecna, Lucas visits her in the hospital constantly, and he always brings this boombox with a cassette tape of Max's favorite song, Running Up That Hill by Kate Bush. In season 4, they discovered that music can break Vecna's curse and pull people out of his mindscape, so Lucas keeps playing that song for Max over and over, hoping it'll help her wake up. And in season 5, when Max can finally escape Vecna's mindscape again, Lucas plays the song for her, even though he's being hunted down by demo dogs and is literally about to die. Next up is Robin, and she comes with 2 accessories that reference 2 completely different moments. First, she has headphones, because in season 5, she's a radio host known as Rockin' Robin. She sends out coded messages over the radio that help the group get together so they can investigate the Upside Down and track down Vecna. Without Robin on the radio, they wouldn't be able to communicate or stay organized, but she also comes with a brick piece, and this is because in season 4, when the group goes to investigate the real Creel House for the first time, Robin literally picks up a brick from the ground and throws it through the stained glass window to break in. So both of her accessories are specific to her character, just from different seasons. Up next, Max's minifigure is wearing a very specific outfit, and it's not her regular look. This is the outfit she's wearing in the Mindscape, where she meets Holly. So LEGO didn't just give her a generic outfit, they chose the exact one from season 5. Next, Dustin's minifigure is wearing his Hellfire Club t-shirt, but instead of having the demon design from the show, the LEGO version has a red minifigure skull on it. In season 4, Dustin joins the Hellfire Club, which is the outcasts and weirdos club at Hawkins High led by Eddie Munson. The club's logo usually has a demon on it, but LEGO changed it to make it more family friendly. Up next is Jonathan, but his detail is actually a lot more weird and disappointing than cool. When you look at his minifigure, you'll notice that there's no printing on his arms, but for some reason, the instructions show him with arm prints. LEGO doesn't usually make mistakes like this, but I guess they had a more detailed version of Jonathan that never ended up getting made. Anyways, moving on from minifigures, there's a tile piece with a rabbit on it, and fans are pretty sure this is referencing the scene from season 4 where Henry kills a rabbit. It's not 100% confirmed by LEGO, but given how many other specific references are packed into this set, and how infamous that scene is, it would make sense. Okay, that's everything in the Creel House, but we still have the Squawk and the Brickhead sets, so let's start with the Squawk. On the glass window of the broadcast booth, there's a little drawing, and this is actually the plan that the group comes up with to finally kill Vecna and the Mind Flayer. They came up with the plan in the Squawk, so it's cool to see that LEGO remembered it. But finally, let's talk about the Demogorgon Brickhead set, because honestly, this is the only Stranger Things Brickhead set that has anything worth talking about. You know how LEGO always gives these sets 2x2 pink bricks for a brain? Well, they did something a little different for the Demogorgon. Instead of a pink 2x2, they made the brain out of a pink 1x2 and a green 1x2. And I think they did this because the Demogorgon is a monster, and green is a good color to represent that. But they also added something in its body. In the middle, you can see this red 1x2 brick with blue 1x2 plates on the top and bottom of it. And I think LEGO was trying to make a cold-blooded heart. Demogorgons being cold-blooded is super important for the plot. So if I'm right, this would be really sick. But what reference or detail surprised you the most in this video? Be sure to let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.